So first, my name is Fernando Gutierrez. I'm a member of the Crypto Valley Association for a few years, and I will be moderating this panel. We have four amazing guests. As everyone knows by now, on February 24th, Russia invaded Ukraine and completely changed the perception of certain things for everyone. No one thought a full-out war could be in the books in Europe, and it is. And that raised also a huge wave of help up to a point, because also there's been a lot of inaction. But specifically in the crypto world, there was a lot of attention brought to the conflict. The Ukrainian government and some other non-governmental organizations were already very crypto savvy, and they started to raise funds using crypto and asking for donations in crypto. And that was completely unprecedented, having a government asking for these kind of funds. So far, more than 100 millions have been raised, which is amazing, according to Alex Bornikov, the Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation, who was already doing a lot of great work before the invasion. So everything didn't start right away in that minute. So those funds went a big part to the government, but also to other organizations. Now they are being deployed and changed the opinion of a lot of people around crypto. In fact, this event came to be because some people were complaining about crypto being used for evading sanctions, and I brought up that also it was used for great things like bringing all this money to Ukraine. And I think that's a very interesting conversation to have, because I think this is much more real than the other danger that some people talk about. So without further ado, our guests, I see them from left to right, so I'll go with that. First, Maxim, CEO of Cheksy, that does compliance and blockchain forensics. So Maxim, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. If you could briefly introduce yourself and your company, that'd be great.
Sure, thanks a lot. Yeah, as you said, my name is Maxim and I'm the CEO of Cheksy. Cheksy is a compliance consultancy company, but with specific focus on blockchain analytics and blockchain forensics. So we also have developed our own tool that aggregates the results of multiple different providers on the blockchain analytics space into one user interface or API. That's roughly
Perfect. Thank you. Then Emily Fascilla from the Giving Block, which builds tools to facilitate donations, mostly for NGOs in crypto. So welcome, Emily. Thank you for being here. If you would also do a brief intro.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. As you said, the Giving Block enables nonprofits to accept over 70 different types of cryptocurrency, and we have over 1,000 nonprofits around the globe. So really happy to be here and part of this discussion today.
Awesome. Then Alona Shevchenko, founder of Ukraine DAO, which has raised, I think, above $7 million for therefore, and has also created a huge organization of volunteers that are involved in many aspects besides just raising money. Alona, welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Alona. I am Ukrainian. I'm based in London, and I co-founded with my friends, co-founded Ukraine DAO 3 days before the invasion on the 21st of February. And the original idea was to provide some help to volunteer networks on the ground in Ukraine. A lot of them have been accepting crypto for years. Ukraine is extremely digitally advanced, and it's a very crypto-friendly country. But then it very quickly expanded into a lot of other aspects of our work that I can talk about briefly at a later point of this conversation. But yeah, very honored to be here.
Perfect, thank you. And last but not least, Andriy Khavryuchenko, who owns a development company. He's based in Ukraine, so he has the most first-hand account of everything that is happening over there. And he's also raised some funds, have some incidents around that. So Andriy, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Fernando. As you have said, my name is Andriy Khavr, for short, Andriy Khavryuchenko, but it's unpronounceable. I'm a developer for AHS. I'm, I guess, could be called Bitcoin OG, since we have integrated Bitcoin payments for our clients in 2011 or something like this. For last 5 years, I, with a small team, have developed, supported and developed an Electrum wallet for a Dash protocol, and recently we switched to more Lightning development. And since I'm in Ukraine, I have really first-hand experience with what's going on here on the ground. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. So now what we're gonna do, instead of doing the typical format in panels where I do a question, everyone answers it, I think in order to be able to cover more ground, we're gonna be structuring the event in two parts. One part more focused on the specific racing experience of Alona and Andriy, and then we go to more broader discussion with Emily and Maxim. But of course, everyone, please feel free to speak at any time. I'm sure even if it's not your main focus of experience, everyone has interesting things to say about everything. So the first thing, I think it's, we can either start with Alona or Andriy, whatever you prefer, but if you could briefly describe your fundraising effort, how it worked, the amounts and all that. I think maybe Alona is a bit more, it's a good start because she raised so much, it's a happy story. So let's start with a happy note, and then we can move to Andriy, which had some more incidents around his experience.
Sure. Can I just clarify what exactly you'd like me to address, like how it happened?
Yeah, how the Ukraine DAO came to existence, and how you've raised funds, and how much and what you are doing with those funds. I think that gives a very good context for the discussion after.
So it started as a Telegram group with two of my friends that I knew through my work in FreeROS DAO. FreeROS DAO its aim is to help release Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road website, from prison. He's serving a double life sentence plus 40 years with no right to parole. And so that was the project where I was working with his friends. His family is very much involved with us. So we were, working to raise awareness about his case, because the only avenue that he's left, unfortunately, is presidential pardon. So it's a super complicated case. And that is how I came about to know people from Pleaser DAO, that eventually they helped me form Ukraine DAO. And so in the weeks preceding the invasion, I was having a really tough time, obviously, and I kept going to protests and posting about it online, like trying to explain to everyone around me how dangerous the situation was. But unfortunately, obviously, not everyone thought that it was going to get like this, even obviously, like I thought it was good. I thought the invasion was going to happen, but I could not in my worst nightmares even comprehend at that time exactly the scale of it. And so my friends, at some point, they pulled me into this video call. Matthew was, and he was like, I really think you should start like an online community for Ukraine. And so I set up this group chat on Telegram. There was 3 people in there, me and Steve and Matthew. And I basically said to them, hey guys, I'm starting to consider creating Ukraine DAO that will kind of mobilize the community to support volunteer networks in Ukraine that accept crypto. And so that's how it started. And then on the night of the invasion, when I saw what was happening, my friends from Kharkiv messaged me, and then I went on Twitter, saw that pretty much every major city in Ukraine was getting bombed, called my parents, kind of essentially had to say goodbye to them, because you know, at that time, you don't know what's going to happen by the morning. We didn't know if we would have, like, you know, mobile reception by the morning. So yeah, we said goodbye to each other, and I can't remember the next 4 days. Everything is kind of like, my memories are very like blurred from that time, but I obviously dropped some message in the group chat, and Steve and Matthew, they started pulling in people from the Web3 community, people that they knew. And I wasn't paying attention to what was happening in the group chat, because that was the least of my concerns at the time, you know. And so that day I went to the protest, and when I was at the protest, they asked me to join this video call, and I said to them, like, I'm outside at Downing Street protest, like, are you sure you need me there? And they were like, yeah, we definitely need you there. And so I joined the call, and there was like 20 people there. I didn't know most of them, and they were talking about some NFT. And I just said hello to them. I spoke to them for like 5 minutes, and I went, you know, get on with my miserable day. And then by the time I got home, I opened the Discord that I set up on the 21st of February, and it was like a full-blown, like, vibrant community there. You know, there was like 30 channels. I didn't create any of them. There were like some moderators, some roles. They were setting up the different things to talk about. And that's when I realized, because I'm familiar with DAOs, I was working basically full time as a DAO contributor before that, and I saw how Constitution DAO formed and how active it was, and a couple other ones, and I knew at that moment that it was going to become a thing that is beyond my control now. But at the same time, over the first few days, I have to tell you, most of the work that was done over those first days in terms of work on the DAO and on the fundraising kind of side of things, I was barely involved in that, because there were so many people messaging me from Ukraine, because they were like, okay, there is this like huge big Twitter account, and it follows 10 people. One of them is Ukrainian. I'm going to message the person for some help. And other people messaged me offering help. And so I spent the first 4 days, I didn't sleep at all. And I was kind of like trying to connect the people who needed something with the people who were like offering whatever help they could provide. And so the NFT of the Ukrainian flag that was auctioned on Partybid, I was barely involved in that at all. So that was in a true DAO fashion, where the power was decentralized. I would like join some Twitter spaces, and people would say, Alona, like you helped raise $1 million. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I literally have no idea how that happened. Like,
I'm sure you have more merit that you credit yourself with, but yeah, the beauty of these movements is probably that decentralization and crypto providing the tools to be able to do this. For those who are not fully aware of the effort, what the Ukraine DAO did was auction an NFT, and everyone could contribute. If I'm wrong, please correct me, of the Ukrainian flag, and you raised several thousand ETH, and then you are donating those funds, or a big part of those funds, to other organizations, and then other part you are using for your own work, right?
So we've donated over from the first round of distribution and the last one. We haven't done the next one yet. From at that time, we donated most of our funds to Come Back Alive, which is the most, is the beloved NGO for Ukrainians. They support the Ukrainian armed forces. Mostly it's the humanitarian equipment that they purchase for them, for our defenders. And so also about $1 million worth of Ether we transferred to the Ukrainian government's official crypto wallet. Then also we made quite a significant donation to Outright, which is an LGBT charity supporting queer LGBTQI people in Ukraine who are struggling. They often have issues that that straight people don't necessarily anticipate. They don't face them, and obviously in terms of like treatment by in Russia, Russia doesn't have a great track record with the LGBT community. So that is that kind of adds a whole new layer to that war-related stress. And so then also, yeah, there were a couple other donations to a charity that provides mental health support and so on. So yeah, those were the main things that we focus on, and the reason why we donated to Come Back Alive, the reason why that was the priority to give them the biggest chunk of funds that we had, was because in Ukraine, if you speak to Ukrainian people, that's what they are. That's the kind of support that they would be asking. Every person I was speaking to, and myself included, we were all like, we need to support our army right now. So if you want to help someone, you need to ask what kind of help do you need? Because not everyone in the Western countries understands why Ukrainians would be so passionate about that. But if there is no, it's super important to support Ukraine's defenders, because they are the only thing that's shielding us from the atrocities that the Russian army has brought to Ukraine. So it's a huge honor for us to support them. We cooperate with them very closely to this day. So yeah, I mean, I hope the answer addresses the question. Sorry if I took up time.
No, I think that gives a lot of context and how things came to be. One follow-up question on that. I think you properly set up a DAO using the Aragon Protocol, right? Or you were about to do it? Or
no, we are in the process of building up our structure, our governance, decision-making processes. We are writing up documentation right now. We speak to a lot of other DAO leaders for advice. We read a lot of stuff as well to kind of educate ourselves, and the advice that we found very useful that some people gave to us was that do not try to solve every problem at once. And obviously we are operating in very dire circumstances. I'm lucky to be in London, but a lot of Ukraine DAO contributors are in Ukraine, and they are literally working from bomb shelters. So things don't necessarily happen as fast as they would be otherwise. But to me, the most important thing is, are we making an impact that's in line with our mission? And I know that we are. And if we don't have an amazing, properly, completely written out documentation yet, I'm okay with it, as long as we are.
Things like surviving probably are more important than that.
Yeah.
Make sense. Thank you very much. So Andriy, your experience, I've known Andriy for a few years because we're both involved in the DAS project. So I'm a bit more familiar with what's happened, but it's a bit more bittersweet, because in Ukraine's case, in Ukraine's DAO case, you see the good of the people donating and organizing and all that. Andriy, you had a kind of different experience when you started making people aware of the situation in Ukraine, right?
Yeah. So let me first give some background. War for me, this is not the first war I am in, at least not the first proxy war. My 16th birthday was on 1991 when there was a attempted coup in Soviet Union. I've been participating in first Maidan in 2004. I've been actively participating in second Maidan in 2013-14. So I kind of was prepared. At least I thought I knew what to expect. Yet when me and my wife and our children were woke up at 4 a.m. on February 21st by explosions in Bristol near international airport nearby. Yeah, you can imagine that the previous world ended for us. I will try not to tell a lengthy story, but just to get the idea. Our government did what typical bureaucratic structure does. The first action was to impose Merkel law, of course. Second was to impose censorship, and third one was to block all international trade. From that night until now, and I guess at least until the war will end, the only four entities that can legally buy and buy dollars and euros in Ukraine are the four government entities: Ukроборонспецекспорт and several more organizations. So if that would be, if there would be no crypto, then I'm sorry, but plans of Russia would be executed almost flawlessly. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for us, we have crypto. So immediately we have a quite close relationship in our crypto community, and we have a closer chat for 400 something people in Ukraine, and we saw what is going on, and we collectively started doing fundraising and putting financing our army and our defense efforts through crypto. Fast forward on the background. Right now, almost all non-governmental help is done by crypto. Since you can't transfer dollars out from Ukraine, you can't bring dollars, euros in Ukraine. So fundraising is done almost entirely in crypto, and it is bought in Ukraine for hryvnias, sold on international markets. You are buying supplies, both humanitarian and for our army and territorial defense, and moving to Ukraine. About me personally and my team, while our community was raising literally millions during first days, me and my small team, we thought, what can we do? And since we have been at the moment the maintenance of Electrum wallet for Dash, we decided as a team collectively to put a single message. And on March 1st, we released a Planet update with all Planet fixes and improvements, and with one single small addition. Every time you start the wallet, both desktop and mobile one, you get a pop-up notice that on 4 a.m. February 24th, Russian army bombed our cities and people, and if you would like to help us fight back, here's the address of the site where you can donate both to army and humanitarian efforts. Slava Ukraine. And that was it. I knew what could be the price of this shot, but as little as we could do, I had to do it. It was accepted by my team 100% unanimously. Fernando, I don't know how much detail you would like to know about the story or our listeners, but it wasn't that good experience, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can summarize because I followed the story. Basically, a lot of people in the community started complaining about the developing team not being neutral and bringing such a topic into the wallet. They thought that was not a good idea because there were also Russian users who could be offended by the message. So in the end, the team was funded by a governance proposal directly from the DAS protocol. And that movement from some users got bigger. They boycotted everything and they ended up defunding the team under the excuse that crypto should be neutral, and they've broken neutrality. And I also must say that there were a lot of people supporting the message and the team, and
Yes.
people saying, how can you say that they broke neutral, that they need to stay neutral when they are being bombed while they code? So it makes no sense. But I think I wanted to bring this up, even if it's not a very good image, because around all these movements, I've seen opportunists and also trying to take advantage of all these fundraising efforts. And I've also seen this neutrality topic come up many times. So I think it's good. It was a good entry point to ask everyone. I think in this case, everyone probably has an opinion about neutrality and crypto being neutral or not. Or I think as any movement, I mean, there's people with different opinions. That's fine. We don't all need to align. But I think if any one of you have anything to say about this, that would be great.
Let me summarize my point. It was for me very hard to stay neutral when there is literally RTL or duel happening within 10 kilometers within my house, and I'm here with my wife, my 4 children, and I know what's happening with my friends in Kharkiv, Mariupol, Kherson, and Mykolaiv, and you can't be neutral on such things when people are killed mindlessly, and it's clear for anyone that that had eyes and ears that it won't end. It won't simply end. It's not a local conflict anymore. I won't dive deeply on this topic, but protocol can and should be neutral. People should not be. People should stand strongly for their beliefs and fight for them and pay the full price. That's it.
Anyone else want to add up on the neutrality topic?
Andriy, I am first of all, I'm extremely sorry to hear that this happened. It's always very I see this sentiment a lot pretty much every day, because I engage with people on Twitter, unfortunately, very often. And to me, like, this concept of neutrality in the face of genocide, it's the absolute, like, it's not pacifism. There is nothing gracious, or there is nothing benevolent about watching someone being brutally abused like that and staying neutral, just seeing that is happening. And so, yeah, that is the fastest way to to make me get mad, is to tell Ukrainians that we're still told that every day that we should be neutral, or that we are not getting help from someone because they're neutral. Or, you know, I can give you a 3-hour TED talk about this, but it's just absolutely outrageous. You know, humans should not be neutral. Why should we just like quietly suffer from this? You know, and to Ukrainians, all this, obviously, again, I'm lucky I'm in the UK. I've been living here for years, but my whole family is there. And when you call your dad, and he's like, you try to explain to him how to adjust the security settings on his phone so that Russians don't intercept his calls and stuff, and you hear the siren going off, and he's like, he can't find his glasses, and he's trying to do the stuff that you're asking him to do. It's and then he just hangs up. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, you know. And how the hell are you supposed to be neutral? What kind of person you would be if you were okay with that, and if you didn't try to fight for your loved ones? But yeah, again, I'm not gonna go on a tangent here. You know my views on that, Fernando.
Okay, so before moving on, because I want to touch on more general themes that, and then Maxim can help out a lot. I have one last question. Probably Andrew has already answered a lot about this. I would like to know if, besides crypto as a donation vehicle, is there an additional utility for crypto in Ukraine right now? I've read reports of a lot of equipment bought with crypto to foreign players because of those financial controls that are in place. But also in the day-to-day, in people in their day-to-day lives, is there any use for crypto besides donations? Is there a bigger role, or is it just a fundraising tool?
Well, I can tell from first-hand experience again, since I'm my small village almost lost its internet connection a couple of times, and I'm involved in all that logistic stuff. Unfortunately, not yet. Because on the buying side, when we buy some equipment, most suppliers would like to be paid in dollars or euros. If they would accept crypto, it would be much simpler and faster. We could do a transaction in literally hours instead of days and weeks. On that side, the limitation is regulation in the countries of the registration. In Ukraine, I guess, I'm not sure, but I guess there was a backup plan in the case of losing connectivity, to try to bring something, but basically it would be the same fiat currency, but on completely new rails, kind of fork of Lightning Protocol, and fast payments that would work even in case when the internet connection isn't stable, and you have outages for hours or even days. Here locally, crypto is used mostly to fundraise and transfer funds, again, because people here are not accustomed to be paid in volatile currency. If we would have really cheap and fast stable coin, like Ukrainian hryvnia or American dollar, US dollar, I guess it could get some acceptance, but not the same.
Okay, that's interesting. That was what I was fearing. Sometimes when people are super optimistic in crypto media about how much things have changed and all that, you can suspect that we are all doing some wishful thinking. But of course, I mean, connectivity in a war zone or any disaster zone in a more broader sense, it's an issue, and crypto still needs to solve that. Which brings me to tooling. Emily, you've been building tools for non-government organizations to do precisely what it's been done there. What can you tell us about the tools available? What are the bigger challenges in situations? I mean, there's no recent situations like Ukraine's, but there are others in disaster relief. That there's in IT, I think there was a big fundraise also. There were some crises where crypto has played some role. What are the common challenges you see from those situations you've worked on? With what you've heard now in Ukraine, and what are the solutions? What could we be doing to give crypto a broader utility?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I will start by saying so much incredible work has been done by the crypto community already to support a number of needs in Ukraine. So on February 24th, we were really inspired by the NGOs that we do work with, because they started issuing their responses, what they were going to do. And so we created the Ukraine Emergency Response Fund. It has raised over 4.6 million since February 24th, and it's supporting over 30 of our NGOs that are working in a number of areas: hunger relief, medical supplies, refugee services, policy, legal and law support, and even animals in the arts. So I think to watch their work and how quickly they were responding, and how quickly the community, the crypto community responded as well, it was really inspiring for us and very motivating for us to continue to push forward and work even more closely with these organizations. I think in moments of tragedy, you always ask yourself, what can I do about this? And our team was very, grateful to know that we had nonprofit organizations that were making an impact on the ground, and we could turn to that right away. And I think it's something that we need to continue to push forward, right? One of our incredible NGOs, International Crisis Group, is working with heads of government and policymakers to open those pathways to peace. So this work spans from, hot meals to really urgently trying to bring this war to an end. And I think what we were talking about in the first few days, how much action and activity was around this, we can't lose that momentum, really. I think I know that we need to continue to very urgently fund these organizations. A lot of our organizations will distribute funds to other local partners. So Alona was talking about how the LGBTQIA community is seeing unique issues in this war. One of our partners, Outright International, has distributed over $500,000 to 34 local partners working on just that. And so I think for us, from our perspective, we just want to keep that momentum, keep that fund going, and continue to see people's awareness increase about what they can do, and their action follow that in the crypto community.
Great. So to understand a bit better what you do, so you work with NGOs that you've previously approached, and you give them the tools to fundraise in crypto, but then you give them fiat, or you give them crypto and they do it, or you have a combination? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we typically help them fundraise in crypto and then move it to fiat for immediate response in whatever, wherever they are. We do have some of our partners like CARE, who has also had response, providing food, shelter, blankets, water, cash in Ukraine and surrounding countries. CARE actually has some programming where they do issue crypto vouchers. So some of our nonprofits will have the crypto converted and then actually put that back into programming and use crypto in that way. But the typical model for most of our nonprofits is fundraising in cryptocurrency, moving it to fiat, and then continuing to provide those services on a more massive scale, right? We've seen a lot of our nonprofits have seen a huge increase in their fundraising from being able to accept cryptocurrency alone. And then also the decentralized nature of it, they're seeing an increase in where their support is coming from, and an increase in awareness of the work that they do overall. So it's really special for us to just be part of this. We technically are that product solution to allow them to do so and really streamline this process. But we also provide that guidance in crypto philanthropy, which is quite a new sector, but it is our goal to make crypto, the crypto community, the most philanthropic community in the world. And they've shown us that, you know, they are meeting us there. So
great. So, well, we've been talking about tens of millions, maybe 100 millions moving around by entities, sometimes not fully formed yet. And these funds are moving internationally. So I'm guessing if Maxim, who is the compliance guy, has already nightmares or he's gonna have them later. Maxim, what are the challenges? I mean, for I guess exchanges when all these funds move around, because in the end we're seeing that basically it's a fundraising tool, and then people convert that to fiat to spend it. So in the end, that point of exchange, the exchanges, I guess they need to do some controls, but they also can't do that much. So, I mean, what are you seeing in this space from your point of view?
Well, I'm not sure about nightmares. Not all the exchanges get nightmares from this situation, and I think this brings us again a little bit to this neutrality point that we talked about before. The technology is there for everybody, and so the wallets that are created that can be well, where you can donate money to, those are operated by places that are fine accepting donations from across the globe. And I was looking into the wallets created by the government, where more than $60 million worth of different cryptocurrencies arrived, and you really can see transactions from across the globe, from a Coinbase to a Bitcoin DE in Germany to a Nigerian exchange. From anything people are sending money to. Those wallets, they belong to Kuna, a Ukrainian company, and they are obviously fine accepting any kind of funds coming to them. And why I mentioned neutrality is that not only good guys can use the technology. And to continue our good news, bad news situation, I want to bring up to the attention that there are obviously, as in any kind of crypto, well, let's say hype, there is always some bad actors jumping on it, and there are countless fake wallets created out there to imitate like they're raising funds for Ukraine or for good purposes, but they're not. Those are the obvious ones, but there are less obvious ones, which I find very interesting. And examples would be, well, big news was that the Ukrainian government wallet received a CryptoPunk NFT worth hundreds of thousands. A few days later, the same wallet receives a fake CryptoPunk NFT, like something that looks like a CryptoPunk, but is not, or is basically worthless. And that creates many different interesting situations. So that creates some kind of chargeback to the creators of it once those CryptoPunks become available again, because they were sold by the government. They are trusted. So the whole collection becomes trusted, but the whole collection is actually just a fake scenario that is or should be worthless. or also they can be rewards sent back to the creator of an NFT. That those kind of scenarios are possible. So there are so many special cases of bad actors be part of it. The Ukrainian government announced that they will be doing an airdrop of some Ukrainian tokens. Like hours after that, someone sent tokens. They were called peaceful world tokens to all wallets that have been previously sending funds to the Ukrainian government wallets, like free giveaways. But those tokens were actually worthless and were actually just creating some kind of a hook for people to get scammed even more. And so there's a crazy different things in all directions going on. And we need to be, again, aware of the situation that the technology is neutral. Everyone can use it, good guys, bad guys. And when we want to do something good, we need to make sure that we are sending it to the right places. And I am obviously totally for decentralized donations and DAOs and raising funds in a new international decentral approach. But yeah, people need to be careful, and they need to do their research. Even here, it's like investing in something new.
This also brings me to the topic of sanctions, because a lot of people have been talking about, hey, crypto could be a tool used by Russians to evade sanctions, which, I mean, to a point, I guess there could be a few transactions there that would look shady. But that also, but I mean, there's a lot of studies around that. Alona shared with me an article talking about the liquidity. I mean, if oligarchs wanted to wash their fortunes through crypto, there would not be enough crypto in the world for them to evade sanctions. That was a great article. But there's also been calls by officials in the Ukrainian government for Western exchanges to block Russian accounts on exchanges, and exchanges pushing back, saying, hey, we can't do that with a court order, because I mean, these are wallets from private citizens, and even if some could be tied to the war, we don't have a mandate to do that. We can't do that legally. So what are your views around that? Do you think there will be a pushback somehow against?
Well, again, the blockchain technology is neutral, so anyone can use it, even Russian oligarchs. I have been working with many crypto exchanges in the past, and all of them have something in place to make sure that wallets that are flagged as bad are blocked whenever they whenever the exchange receives money from that kind of wallet. So if international politicians would decide to ban certain wallets that are probably belonging to Russian oligarchs, all exchanges would support them and freeze those funds. This is for sure. All exchanges that would still send funds to those wallets, they would be taken down within days, because everyone could see that. So that is the transparency of the blockchain. So there is actually a good part of it. But the Russian oligarchs, they are smart, and they are professionals in like flying below the radar, and I would not say laundering money, but yes, laundering money through shell companies, international companies set up anywhere in the world under fake names or with some people in between. So if Russian oligarchs would want to move money, they don't need crypto to do that. And it's the difficulty is for the traditional banks and for cryptocurrencies to identify those shell structures and make sure that they are understanding the purpose of the transaction those shell companies are doing. And yes, the sheer volume of Russian oligarchs trying to move money would be a problem for the crypto ecosystem. So there are probably Russian oligarchs or just Russian rich people or other Russian people moving crypto in this very second. And this is fine for everybody, but this is not the type of sanctions that the world is hoping for.
Perfect, thank you. So we are approaching the hour, so I would like to finish on a positive note, call for action, however you want to call it. So I'd like to ask a question to all of you. What could crypto be doing to help more in a situation like the Ukrainian invasion, but also in other situations that have some similarity? I think we've heard good things about crypto today, but also some limitations. So what do you guys think the community or the industry should be working on in order to improve things? Be it for fundraising, but also for other things. I mean, I know Ukrainian DAO is doing a lot of work besides fundraising. And for that, maybe more tooling for DAOs or easier setup could do easier governance so you can control all those areas of work, or maybe it's easier conversions, or it's tools for an offline situation. So any ideas you guys have, please let's finish with that, a call to action. Whoever wants to start. If not, I'll choose someone randomly. Okay.
I can give another speech. So would you like for me to start?
Hey, let's go.
Okay. So my call to action, short term. Right now, I'm sorry, but the largest thing that we need right now is money, is donations that would help us to buy humanitarian and non-humanitarian equipment buy in your countries, because Ukraine at the moment has almost zero military production and humanitarian stuff too. So by donating to help Ukraine, you will help your country, because your producers will get this money finally. Midterm, please push hard, as hard as we do with Russians, to your regulators. Crypto is a free world, and let this freedom stay there. Create simple and clear regulation framework for any legal entity to so it could be able to accept, hold, and sell cryptocurrency. I mean legal entity, not just a mere anonymous person on the internet. So it could be a part of bigger financial and trade network. And long term, let's create more and better technologies that would be even better resistant to attempt to censor, be it political censorship or technological censorship in times of war, because when your optical cables are destroyed by bombing, this is also censorship. Let's do technologies that would allow everyone on the planet to live, produce, and trade under even most extreme cases.
That's quite a list.
Yeah, I know. I ask many
You-
simple.
you could keep a few people busy with so much homework. To one of the points, the raising more, we'll send an email probably tomorrow with some of the addresses of the organization we've been talking about today. So every attendant can, if they want, donate. Because it's true that there was a big influx of donations in the early days, but if you check the blockchain, it's gone down a lot. There's still a few initiatives. Yesterday, someone shared with me an NFT drop at OpenSea by a US artist that it was working with the core organization, which helps refugees, and they raised some money, but it's gone down a lot. And it's the same thing probably done with the war in the news. The first few days, everyone is obsessed about it, and then it fades away. So probably it's important that it doesn't fade away and people keep donating. So we'll add a few addresses and ideas from the guests today in that email we will send everyone, and we'll also put that in comments in the YouTube video. So more ideas, anyone? I know there are many.
I can go next if you want. I think a lot of people are very suspicious of crypto in general. Like, I deal with some people who are more open-minded when I tell them about Ukraine DAO, and I hope to think that Ukraine DAO can, with the example of its own existence, kind of help change that negative public perception, which is, I mean, some of those concerns are obviously fair, but they are, in my opinion, they're very much exaggerated. But there are so many amazing applications of blockchain in general that can be used. We've been working with a project called DryNode, and they are developing this tool. Apart from one of them is they want to implement a certain product. It's going to operate as a DAO as well, that will allow independent journalists to monetize their content without an intermediary, without having to pay any subscription fee to the platform. So that could potentially give them the freedom and the autonomy, right, that they wouldn't otherwise have. So I actually just spoke to Mustafa Nayam. He's a very well-known Ukrainian journalist and one of Euromaidan's leaders, and he knows a lot of journalists. So I just told him about this project, and we're going to see if we can find journalists on the ground in Ukraine that are willing to test this technology. But yeah, that's just one of the examples. But there are very exciting opportunities of how blockchain can be applied, and some of them we haven't even come up with them yet.
Sounds like a challenge for the Green Block, Emily, because it's like another application of, hey, let's make it easy for journalists in this case to get funded with an easy interface, because I'm sure many of them are not crypto savvy.
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of our clients are doing. And I think that would be my call to action for the crypto community, is just understanding the impact that you can have. We have a movement that we call Crypto is Good, and spreading the word to not only the crypto community overall, but also people who maybe are a little bit afraid of crypto, which sometimes does include our NGOs. But to Maxim's point earlier, we use chain analysis software. We only take registered NGOs onto our platform to really protect any of those scams where maybe you're giving money where the response isn't there. And when we created our Ukraine Emergency Response Fund, we made sure that each organization added to that fund had a plan of action in place. And then they have been sharing with us details of how they're helping. So I think overall for the crypto community, just understanding how much of an impact you really can have, and the crypto is good.
Cool, thank you. Maxim, you're last. Any idea you think we could improve on as an industry or community to help in this situation?
I'll just repeat what Andriy said. We need clearer regulation, and we need a better regulation not only in general for crypto, but also a regulation that will help the banks to understand what crypto is and how to deal with crypto companies, especially with DAOs. Because if a real DAO that is not registered anywhere, you cannot get a bank account. And I guess that will be a problem at some point. And a DAO registered somewhere, which is a legal wrapper, it's possible, but still even there, some banks will have problems to even understand the concept. So if there will be clearer regulation, there will be better possibilities for the crypto projects to thrive over time. And regulation is not always making things harder. It sometimes helps people to understand the risks and manage those.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I think if anyone else has something to say before we wrap up, any call, anything you want to mention that is important? If not, we'll wrap up. We are just on top of the hour, but we started 2 minutes late, so we nailed it, just 1 hour as promised. I want to respect all your time. I want to thank everyone, all the guests, for being here. Also, all the people who attended, all the people who are watching this in YouTube after we published. We wanted to raise some visibility on this part of crypto that I think it's sometimes missed on the hype of trading and valuations and things like that. But there's a good aspect of crypto that can help in situations like this, and that's what we wanted to bring here. I hope it's been entertaining and insightful, and everyone has learned as much as I have. And with that, thank you very much, and see you in another occasion.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.